Hi and welcome to another edition of In the Mood to Scrap. I'm Wilna Furstenberg. This month's mood board is just a combination of eclectic images that reminded me of spring. Where I live in Saskatchewan, Canada, it is really cold and wet, and we just had another bunch of snow. So I'm desperate for some happy sunshine and green and flowers, and that's what I was thinking. If I can't have it in nature, I'll have it on a page. So this is the page that I created of my eldest girl Tia, and I'm going to show you step by step how I translated the mood board into this layout. On this layout I used a lot of rub-ons, and I have used it in the past on various pages. I love the combination of rub-ons and paint, but I really wanted to do an in-depth how-to of how I do this. So that's why I made the decision to do it again today. So we're going to start with some product, and I'm going to use the roller stamps by Glitz. And I don't know if you saw that foam stamp that I had right in the beginning. I fished that out of my stash, and let me tell you what a pleasure it was to use the foam stamp again. So if you have foam stamps, I would advise you to grab them, and let's use them on this page. As a substitute, if you don't have the Glitz chevron roller, you can just use these by Studio Calico, that chevron stamp. And also the Sundrifter collection also have pretty chevron stamps. And you'll see what I'm going to do with that roller. I'm not entirely sure what embellishments I'm going to use, but I'm definitely going to use those rub-ons by Dear Lizzie from her Lucky Charm collection. More Lucky Charm paper, and then I used this piece of Transparency by Webster Pages by Alison Kreft, and I die cutted some butterflies out of it and with my silhouette. And the trick is, I think I cut that cut probably 3 times. Just say cut again, cut again, cut again, because it's and I think my blade was on a size on a number 7 depth, so it's very interesting cutting out of that, but I could do it, so just persist. I'm going to use the rule of thirds on this page as well. I'm just drawn to that lately, and I'm going to use this piece of paper as a background, but I have absolutely no idea who made it, so I'll try to find out and link it in the related product. Well, I'm going to use this white piece of paper with the wood grain. That's the one I don't know. It's because rub-ons rubs off better on a smooth surface. So I'm going to use the rule of thirds and add a third, or about a third, of the way. I'm just going to add a piece of white cardstock and the strip of Dear Lizzie paper to create a border. And then I'm going to add my picture there. So I'm going to mark it with a pencil, just more or less where I want my picture, and I'm going to use this piece of Dear Lizzie Lucky Charm paper and die cut Tia from it. The name Tia. The font is Helvetica, and I just welded it together so that it's one piece of title. So why I like to mark my picture is just I want the embellishments to, or the rub-ons or paint or whatever I'm going to use, to overlap so that the picture goes over it. So that's why I'm going to color inside of the lines, so to speak. Right, the next thing I'm going to do is use the rub-ons. Now, my philosophy with rub-ons is I love to use everything on a page. That both sheets, I'm going to see how much of it I can use just because of the simple fact that it's very difficult to store rub-ons that's been used, because the wax paper at the back comes off or it sticks to something else. So my philosophy is, once I open a sheet, I try to use all of it. Also, I love the whimsicalness of this these rub-ons, and I love how you can create this beautiful effect with it, almost like creating your own background paper. So I'm going to just dive in and start rubbing them down. For some reason, the yellow in these rub-ons doesn't rub very well, so just make sure that you use that craft stick and really just give it a good go. And even if it doesn't rub off well, it's not a problem, because it's not the main attraction of the page, it's just part of the background, so to speak. You can place your rub-ons wherever you want to. As you can see here, I move things around, and I also like to layer them. So I'll rub off a piece and then position it and rub it on top of another piece. So just play with it and be creative, and you'll see it will work out perfectly in the end. And you can also see that I cut out the piece that I want to rub off, remove the wax paper, and then just rub it down. And there you can see how I would layer them on top of each other. And you know it's ready to come off when the wax paper removes easily. Right, now you can see how whimsical this starts to look. And that's the one thing that I really love about these specific rub-ons. And also the Fifth and Frolic rub-ons is one of my favorites, and I usually buy a couple of sheets just because I love to use it in a way like this. The next thing I'm going to do is, instead of watercolor, I'm going to use gelatos, and you can see how I just go ahead and color over the rub-ons. And then you just want to use a damp brush, not wet with water, just a little damp, and work your way around and over the rub-ons with the brush. And that really just gives the gelatos this beautiful watercolor feeling. You can also see how the rub-ons almost act like resist, so the gelatos don't stick on it, so that's quite lovely. I love that effect. This is just a darker pink, and then again you can see I wet my brush and then you dry it off a little or not, it's totally up to you, and then you can just blend the gelatos with that wet brush, and it works beautiful and it looks like watercolor. So there's the foam stamp, and like I said, the foam stamps works incredibly well with the gelato. So I'm going to color it with one color and just add a bit of a darker pink to it, and then I'm going to spray it but I'm not going to show you on camera because I don't want to wet my page. Just spritz it once or twice with a little water, and then you're going to stamp it, and you're going to see how lovely. I think this one was a little too wet, but still a beautiful, beautiful image created by the gelatos and the foam stamp. I think the foam stamps are just made for gelatos, and that's something that I'm definitely going to look into, and I wish some company would start making these foam stamps again. So I'm going to do it again, and because the foam stamp was wet, I didn't wet it again, and you can see how pretty it stamped. So it stamped a little border, and all you do is just take your brush and brush over it, and it just makes it softer. But again, it's not really a problem. And I'm going to do it a third time because I want the stamp image at the bottom of the page as well. Just going to color it and spritz it and stamp it again. And you can do these in different colors. You can, because of the gelatos, you can color a different part of the stamp a different color. And again, beautiful. So I'm just adding some ink splashes, and you can see how the page is starting to look like a bouquet of flowers or a piece of art. And it's really not anything that I did, it's just a combination of product. So I'm using my embossing tool to just dry it, and you can see when I add the picture how it covers some of the rub-ons, which is exactly what I want to do. Now I'm going to stamp a little, and I'm using the Sundrifter stamps from Studio Calico and my big brush pens, and just a spritz of water on those, and you have this beautiful stamped image that was too wet. So I'm just doing it again, and you can see I just dabbed it with a piece of paper towel. So let's try again, and there you go. And again, I want a watercolor feeling because that's the mood that I want to create on my page. And I'm using Hello, a different stamp with big brush pen, and I'm gonna do it again. You can see you just color it and you stamp it. It's a beautiful product to use. I don't mind that it's not perfect because you'll see how I'm gonna cover it up later on. So now I just want to add a little bit more stamps and words, and this is just for texture. With these 3 phrases, I'm going to color each phrase a different color and just stamp it down. And this is from Amy Tangerine's Yes Please, this beautiful rose from her ephemera pack. And I'm cutting it in half because I want to layer it, I think one on top and one at the bottom. So you can see how the layers are starting to come together. And I'm just gonna, I wanted to stand up a little, just a little bit dimension. And I'm gonna use my hot glue gun and just add a little bit of glue to it. And the same at the top, just a tiny dot of glue. The next thing I'm going to do is use that big roller stamp and emboss. So again, it's just for texture, and I'm going to emboss in white so that you don't really see it, but it creates texture. So I rolled it in the Versamark ink, and now just roll it wherever you want to on your page and add some embossing powder. And I just have a lint roller that just sits on my desk. And now I'm just going to heat it up and cook it like Ollie would say. And this creates a really lovely texture on your page, and it's transparent so you can still see what's happening beneath it. But it's just so fascinating to work with embossing powders and create this lovely texture on a page. And now I'm going to add the butterflies that I die cutted from that transparency from Webster Pages by Alison Kreft. And like I said, I die cutted it with my silhouette, and I cut through this sheet probably 3 times. Initially, this was the idea for the mood board, inspired by one of the pictures, the 6 on the black background. But I found that the black was too harsh, and then when I removed it, I just felt like I can use more layers and textures on the page. So maybe you can weigh in and say which one you like best, but I like the white more. So I'm going to add those butterflies. Again, you can't really see them, but also inspired by the mood board with the butterflies. And here you can see, if you look at the top, the 6 and the butterfly next to it. And that was my idea with the page, where the embellishments almost was part of that butterfly wing. And then I just added the transparent back butterflies that you can't really see them, but they're there, and they don't hide what's beneath them, so you can still see those beautiful rub-ons. So that was my idea. I just love how this page is coming together. I'm going to create big black drops on the page, and it was inspired by this image with those black buttons. So I'm just taking my big round brush and using Pinstripe ink by Studio Calico, and I'm just going to drop. I love this big round brush. If you want those perfect drops, just get one of those. And I'm just going to drop them. Black on a page like this creates just a little bit of drama and contrast, and that's what I love about it. So you can see I mounted the page to the mint stripes by Lucky Charm, and I stitched around the edges, and now I'm just going to add my journaling, and then I'm done. So yeah, I'm writing a little letter or note to my girl. I always start with Dear Tia or Dear Kristen or Dear Jana. And I just find it's easier to write them something than write about them. So I try to make my pages little life lessons. Maybe they don't listen to me now because they're teenagers, but one day they will read what I wrote and take it to heart. So my challenge to you this month, while I'm writing away, is to create a page inspired by this mood board. And I also have another challenge, and that is that I'll start a thread on the general scrapbooking board, message board, where you can link your mood boards to me, and I want to find a mood board that inspires me, that you created, that I can use for my page for next month. So I would love to see your mood boards, and yours can be the one that inspires the page for next month. So if you want to play along, I think it can be super fun. Create a mood board on Pinterest and just link it to me in the general scrapbooking thread that I will start. I'm adding some stamps to this page from Dear Lizzie, her roller stamp. of phrases, which is super cool, and a date stamp, and then I'm done. And I just want to say thank you for watching. And this is not American Idol, this is In the Mood to Scrap, and I'm Wilna Furstenberg, and I love the smell of hot glue in the morning.